I'm going to start with a song that I had going through my head this morning. I usually wake up with songs, and then I decide to start writing them at 4:30 in the morning when I wake up. So this is one that I woke up with this morning, and it's called Fall Holiday. Though fall lacks all the flowers of May, leaf bouquets line tree limbs that sway in the breezes, swaying to free all the golden hues they display. In the fall, though the start of a day may be gray by tea time each ray, we see teases away any sleet. Winter's freeze is delayed, which is sweet. Some people hide away from the fall, but here falls don't last long at all. We won't waste each day just hiding away. Why stay in? We keep playing in fall. Like every day in fall's a holiday. Some fall mornings we wake up to snow, but we know quite soon it'll go. Though fall sun hangs low at high noon, leaves don't block its great golden glow. Snow melts slowly to trickle and flow to the showy spruce that still grow. Life's not done, though few grow now, that's true. I'll have fun and keep growing with you. Some people hide away from the fall, but here falls don't last long at all. We won't waste each day just hiding away. Why stay in? We'll keep playing in fall. Like every day in fall's a holiday. Okay, and this other poem that I'm going to read is a Silas story. I have read several Silas stories before, and this is just another one. This one's called How Frosty Became Frosty, and I wrote it a while ago, January 14th, 2024. Si came by Frosty through the shelter in Grand Prairie, where they'd given him the name. Though it was early fall there then, there'd been some frost outdoors before poor Frosty came to be collected by a rescuer who'd broke him free from someone's chain-link fence. And how they'd break him out? Well, I'm not sure. Most shelters give strays names that make no sense, but Frosty was a very fitting one. And so that name was Frosty's name he'd earned while frolicking through frost and having fun. His scaled iguana leather wasn't burned. He didn't seem to have PTSD, and Frosty didn't even lose a toe. When Si met Frosty, Si knew that he'd be the coolest green iguana he could know.
So I wrote a Halloween poem here. It's called Halloween Has Lost Its Heart. It's time for Michael Myers and Freddy Jason too. They're coming after dinner. They're coming after you. Art the clown is waiting beside another door. He's got a knife in his hand for spilling blood some more. The ghosts are always waiting. They're on the other side. The demons want to come aboard, take them for a ride. The weather still is dropping. They trick and treat again, filling up on chocolate taken from the bin. The monsters are around you. They want to do you in. If you do not run away, they're giving in to sin. I do not want to hurry. I do not want to fly. I do not want to get away from that murderous guy. Sitting by the TV with some warm popcorn, watching all the villains as they take their form. I have my favorite movies that I will watch again. I wait around for them all year and then I start to binge. I wait for Terrifier. I wait for Halloween. I watch the series every year. It gives me quite a grin. I think I hear a rattle outside my window there. Someone has come after me there. They want to take a share. They'll cut me into pieces. They'll burn me to the ground. They'll rip apart my body parts and spread them all around. But no one's really out there. It's really just the wind. I just imagined all of it. No one will do me in. Thanks. This one's called The Starfall Warrior Got His Head in Dismay. All the rivers run away, run into themselves. All the games I want to play, do it by myself. Never let the river out, you have got to stay. Never let the feeling show, put them all away. Now I grieve for other times, now I beg to fall. Now I let the rivers go, running up the wall. Let the fire be running down, off into your face. Let the times uncover how you will be erased. I don't want to cut the cheese, I don't want to burn. I don't want to put it back, will you live and learn? How you spelt another wave, how your dreams did choose. Are you going to slip away deep into the room? I am going to slip and slide down a waterfall. I am going to rip the truth from where it is all. Now I want to break the beans, now I want to change. Now I want to curve it back, circle rearranged. Let the spillage take it soft, let the purpose blend. Let the fire sort it out there into the end. Let my stream be given out as the games do play. As the fires run around, go the other way. I don't want to shift my words, I don't want to sail. I just want to put it back till the trains derail. Now my grief is given out to the storied cheese. Now my files are in the bank, focus if you please. Thank you.
Well, good to see some old friends here again, familiar faces. It's been a while since I've been here. What I brought with me today are, well, frankly, they're all recent things, and I was editing them right up to the last minute here. So some of them are kind of short, maybe need to be fleshed out a little bit more. Okay, I'll start with this one. This is just called a vignette. It's kind of based on real experience, and it's kind of short, but maybe something will come through. A hawk sits atop a power pole near the tree at the corner of Orton Road. Here, many a story is being told of how things were back in the days of old. A Remington hearse once stopped here, drawn by 6 black horses. Inside, the casket carried a student of ancient history. There were 12 pallbearers, and the widow in a long black veil, whose name, for reasons of my own, I must keep a mystery. That's it, short and sweet.
I just have one tonight. It's called When Roadkill Spoke to Me. I wrote this one a while ago, like in 2023, but it might be one of my favorite poems that I've written so far. So, he said his name was Tom. The chilled twilight air moved through his fur, making it look like a baby owl's downy feathers. It made me think of the time my grandma told me that owls symbolize death. It's dangerous, you know, living in the city, he said. No matter how careful you are or how careful you think you are, tragedy's a real bitch and she'll come out of nowhere. His voice was low and soft, but had a grit to it, He sounded like my uncle, who never told a story without a cigarette in his hand, and when he finished a smoke, he'd pause to shake another out of his pack, bring it between his lips to light, and take a long drag. Then he'd continue. It always made my grandma laugh and say, "Just too dramatic." But he told good stories. "You see, I was on my way to visit a friend," Tom went on. "The same route I always take, not without its risks, but I've crossed there 1,000,000 times or more. The wind picks up, cold enough that my skin feels raw. But you know how it goes. Just because you think you know the route, it's familiar, you've been there before, you're smart, and it won't happen to you. I can't breathe, and my hands are red. And tragedy proves you wrong. The trek down the hill to pick berries leaves its marks, wheezing lungs and Saskatoon juice-stained fingers, but it's worth it. The sun's heat, disembodied voices and laughter coming from different directions as we compete to have the most berries in our ice cream buckets turned essential berry-picking paraphernalia. Even the mosquito bites, burrs hitching a ride up the hill, and stingy branch scratches all over are worth it for this. I follow the wind's gaze to the long hair moving in the trees, relatives, ancestors, lifted to rest among the birds. I look at Tom, at his exposed ribs, flat belly, and limp paws still headed for the other side of the road. I can't bring myself to look at his face. It won't look like him. It never does. I wonder about his friend, waiting for a visitor who will now never arrive. I can't breathe, but Tom reaches for me. "Don't be sad, my girl," he says. "I'm okay." The wind runs away, taking his voice so it's now behind me and pushing me on the road ahead. Thank you.
All right. Well, I will admit I'm not a stranger to open mics. However, I usually have my comfort instrument with me. So this is a little bit more vulnerable than I'm used to being. And I really have been looking forward to this ever since Teri brought the poster in. I've been looking at it every day thinking, I really want to go do that. So, yeah. So this is called an ode to open mics. So I've had a thought. There's poetry in music, is there not? I'm sure I can make something up on the spot. I've come here tonight to enjoy open mic. All month I've been meaning a poem to write, in the ardent hope that I truly might participate. But the days have marched by, and despite my best try, I have failed once again to meet my lofty self-expectations. More on that with my therapist later. But I'll readily admit today I wanted to come out and play, not miss the fun chance, like the shy kid at the school dance. So, in short, tonight, I offer an ode, a toast, a grateful nod to our most gracious host. To the open mic, a chance to come and behold, share our words and our souls with new friends and old, if even just for tonight. Oh, most truly, what a delight. Thank you.
So I joined this wonderful poetry group 3 years ago for the Halloween episode when we were still doing it via Zoom call or Skype or, yeah, Zoom, I think it was Zoom. Yep. And it's become a tradition. Every October I have a few Halloween poems, so I like to read those because they're what got me involved with this whole wonderful crew. So, yeah. The first one is, it's for all the witchy women out there. Yes, there's a lot of you I see. And it's an October poem for the witchy women. It's called Brooms. Here we go. You know, we grab our brooms and then we take to the air. October is upon us, a stale crispness in her season's delightful ensnare. Contraire to the summer sisters, that all-alluring flare, her black beauty beckons me in and embraces prescience, shadows candlelit rapture, entrance opened up to winter. Whether fey or fray, dark or fair, the leaves they die, the branches lay bare. The heat is long past, a crackling fire in the hearth. Take to the sky after my barefoot walk, where I dig my toes into the cold, frost-kissed earth. And now, alas, women of the night take flight, with the sanguine moon as our guide. Witches, we ride. Thank you. This one's called Black Cat. And I was trying to look up, like, why do black cats have such a bad rap? It goes back quite a ways. There's some things that say it stems from Greek mythology, some from the Black Plague in Europe, and black cats associated with witches and spreading death. But black cats have had a bad rap throughout history, and this is a poem about black cats. It's called Black Cat. Black Cat. Black cat, your reputation is shat, but I never believed it. I never conceived it. Ill tides, they will rise at your sight. Perpetualized is this notion, you are a bad omen, said to bring gloom and dark doom. If you cross one's path, all fortune consumed, but I never believed it. I never conceived it. Black cat, surely you're no hazmat. How did this superstition ignite? Why did they peg you a blight? Black cat. I like that one. Okay, thank you. And the last one, I brought my wine up here because this is a Halloween toast I wrote, a toast for Halloween. So it goes like this. When the flaming light colors of the summer are done, autumn tones and snowfall are clashing it out. Not aligned by date, but she's on the cusp of seasons change, or so it seems, the all things in between. The shadows of the night work in synchronicity. All hail the intrigue of Halloween. Where that affright congregate, meet and devise, where we embrace the darkness and all that is spooky in folklore and tales are emphasized. Long lived this celebration of the creatures of the night. Long lived this celebration of the magical, supernatural, ritual, spellcaster, or whatever witchy craft grabs you. Harness this power, this date, this hour, of the vampires, witches, ghouls, and ghosts, the obscene. For the grave risers, spooky monsters, for the wolverine. To eager-eared listeners, now raise your silver glass. Hurrah to this 31st day of October, this rowdiness invoker, this night that's anything but mediocre. The abyss gleams. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, tonight. Halloween these days in our culture is a lot of fun and, scaring kids and scaring adults and all that kind of thing. Another excuse to have a party. But it has a very, very long tradition in European folklore and also in lots of different places that notice a big change in the seasons. When it starts to become colder, when it starts to be, the nights are longer, they start earlier, then it's the time when the veil between the worlds is said to be much thinner, and that we can access our beloved family and friends who have passed on, gone before us into the whatever adventure is next. And so I just want to remember that too, that if you have grief inside of you, this is the time to remember those who have gone on and listen to what they might have to say to you. Okay, I've got a couple of poems tonight. This is a light one, but it's true. It's the middle verse, the second verse, that has the oomph in it for me. It's called All the Books. Now, if you know me, we have a few thousand books of my own in the house, plus a few thousand of my spouse's, and our son, who is 28, now is rivaling our bad habits. But of the kind of bad habits to have, it's one that is fairly harmless. Okay, here it goes. All the books here in this room, and in that room, and in another, and, oh yeah, don't forget the books in the garage. Awesome. When I was little, my parents' way of punishing me was to take away all of my books and all of the library books. No wonder I have a few here today that can't be taken away. Awesome. But finally, I think I have enough. More than enough books. Actually, I have enough books to keep me going for the rest of my life, even if I live to be 103. That was the end of the poem. This one is a little bit more serious. This is called All Shall Be Well. Many of you might have heard the phrase, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And it's a quote from a woman who's considered to be a saint in the church, of the Christian churches, from Julian of Norwich, who lived in the middle of the 14th century, 1300s. Hey, Julian, is that really your name anyway? Awfully suspicious that that's the name of the church you lived next to. So is Julian just another name for anonymous? And is it anonymous just another name for another brilliant woman? Anyway, Julian, did you really say that? All shall be well. What, were you on drugs, hypnotized, or just mentally unbalanced? I mean, just look around. Watch the news, for crying out loud. I hate to break this to you, but things are definitely not well. Black woman killed in her home, shot by the policeman, sent to see if she was all right. Kurds abandoned by allies to armies, just itching for a little ethnic cleansing. Sexual slavery rings. Cages for migrant children seeking asylum. Opioid crisis. Climate crisis, fentanyl crisis, housing crisis, crisis cries us, cries us, cries us. All shall be well. Try that line on a woman who just lost her son to a bullet. Are you kidding or are you nuts? I am not impressed. Yet through the ages it echoes. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. It does have kind of a nice rhythm. Deep down, I don't believe you were nuts. You lived during the Black Plague, which killed 1 out of the 3 people around you. Maybe the plague killed all of your children and spouse, and that's why you ended up living on the side of the church, never leaving that tiny little room. An anchorite with a window open to listen to all who came to tell you their heartbreaks, asking you to pray with them, to pray for them, for comfort, for strength. And though you didn't get around much, the evening news came to you. Hour after hour, day after day, year after year, through that tiny window to the world, you knew how much we hurt, how much we suffer, how much we need. Some things just never seem to change. All shall be well, and all shall be well. Well, I guess I can hope. Maybe someday I can believe it. After all, some days underneath it all, I find myself wordless, watching a magpie watching me, seeing the tenderness of an open-hearted soul, feeling thank you arise from my bones. And I hope, and I watch. It's the tension of opposites. I hold it all, waiting for a creative revolution. A creative resolution, revolution, creative resolve. My creative resolve, my resolve to be creative, to think thoughts never thought before, and to create in the middle of so much destruction. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. I hold it, I create. I hope, I watch, I resolve to be creative while watching for the creative revolution, and just perhaps all shall be well. My final one tonight is called, Don't You Just Hate It? Don't you just hate it when the advice they gave you turns out to be true? I intended to outsmart them all. Who needs vegetables? Isn't that what vitamins are for? Go to bed? But I've always been a night owl. Besides, I've got stuff to do. What stuff? Well, important stuff, that's what. Go eat my dust. I've got places to go, people to see, a world to change, and the energy of an Amazon. Until I didn't have the energy of an Amazon anymore. If willpower alone could do it, I'd still be going, doing, moving, shaking. But dear body said, enough. And I go, and I do, and I move, and I shake, much more slowly now. Still a night owl, I now get enough sleep, and you won't see me before noon. Though still a rebel with a cause, I even eat some vegetables now. Turns out the advice was true. Turns out I'm just human like everybody else. I don't have to like it, but it turns out that I actually do. I may be slow and steady, but this jackrabbit turned turtle gets where she's gonna go. Actually, I've already gotten where I'm going because there's nowhere to go. We're already here in our dear bodies on this dear earth. I'm now here. I am here. And nowhere else to be, nowhere else to have to go. Psst. There's no race, no advice either. There's only love. Good night, everyone.
Over the summer, I read a poem in the Meliorist called Divided Heart from one of our international students. It hit something in me, and I had to write something about it overnight, and I called it Twain Yet Whole. Divided heart, I know it well, within my desiccated shell. How can one reconcile two worlds, two selves, too much heaven, too much hell, yearning always under the spell? The drop of rain knows no such rift, not while upon the blustery Chinook adrift, nor when meandering through ebb and flow, indiscriminate of prairie and Whistler snow, prairie canal and Whistler snow. But the aged atoms envy our brief light, since we make meaning in our flight. In Manitoba, sweet maples, ancient oaks, Precambrian shield and lakes of glass, sunset, loon's call, and youth makes its pass. Home again, never minding what cliche may say, but seeing Keystone in a different hue today. Being home, yet missing home, torn in twain, yet ostensibly whole. Alberta, have you split my soul? A second self, a vile clone. Why could I not leave myself alone? Wagons west, young man, and find thyself. But my new world is love, is home, not off the shelf. Another world, a layer added, dimension found. A flat paper heart becoming round, from square to cube and circle sphere. Depth, character in the there and here. Here in Iskim, red rocks and ochre. Coolly wandering, sea of sage, hissed hello from rattling poker. Embraced, enchanted, and lost but found. Traveling life on Blackfoot ground. One moon, one sun, one great big sky that lets loose the raindrops fly upon myself in either land, lifting spirit and guiding hand.
I have a few poems for you tonight. They're all short, so I think I'll read 4 of them to you. And I'm going to start with a piece of her heart, which was written to my friend when she lost her daughter. And I got a phone call from my friend, not a phone call, sorry. I got a text from my friend inviting me for a dinner tonight because it would be her daughter's birthday. But unfortunately, I couldn't go. So here's to you, Dawn, a piece of her heart. To Dawn Davis after losing her daughter, Lisa. There are days you miss her so much. You feel like crying all day. Her memories are etched in your mind since the moment you first held her in your loving arms. How could you let go of all that? You can't. She was literally a part of you, your flesh, your genes, and your blood. Now her body has stopped living, and her spirit has moved on, but she will live on forever in your heart. You can feel her presence every time you see a beautiful flower or a butterfly fluttering in the warm sun. You can hear her voice in every breeze and wind. You can find a piece of her when you find a heart-shaped rock walking on the riverbank. And there was a day when her and I were walking on the riverbank and she found the heart-shaped rock. My second poem is to all of you poets, to the poets. Let the depth of your soul shine through like a bright beacon of eternal light. Let it shine in every poem you write, and let it brighten the road in the dark. Let your poems be the key to open the hidden lock to every heart, every vision, every secret dream, every burning desire of every human. Let it be the guiding post in times of adversity, the missing piece for happiness and hope. Let the depth of your soul shine through every poem you write and share it with all of us. All right, there was a poetry night with Kat's group, and we were doing rainy stiletto poems. And one of the prompt questions was, what beauty can you think of? And this is what I wrote. There is beauty everywhere. In the embrace when you run into someone you have not seen in a long time. That embrace lasts longer because you have missed each other so much. There is beauty in the words we share, in a supportive, loving writing circle. When we learn about each other's deep pain, sorrow, grief, joy, happiness, and dreams. There is beauty in the snowfall, the soft rain, the howling wind, and the rise and fall of the waves on the water. There is beauty in the Alberta sunrise and the deep hues of the sunsets. There is beauty everywhere. And the last one was also a prompt poem called Wild Thing, just like some people call me. I am the wild thing who feels more at home in the wild places than what is called civilization. The wild places are ruled by the natural order, beauty, solitude, and peace. Everything has a reason for being where it is, and there is no man-made chaos. The simplicity is calming and grounding, and yet the beauty of it is breathtaking. I like being the wild thing, living in the tall grass, wild and natural, with no clothes to cover my body. Walking the prairies, the mountains, the woods, swim in the ocean, river, and lake until I feel refreshed. I like feeling wild in wild places and feel the joy and bliss of it all.
My next one is called All I Ask. All I ask, if you decide to walk out that door, you don't tell me you love me. We don't fight or scream. I ask that you leave with memories of us, and you remember when we sounded like kids in love. I ask that you don't raise your fist at me when you beg me to stay. I want you to remember how I loved you and held you on cold nights. I want you to remember my perfume, all my favorite songs. All I ask is whoever ends up with you next loves you harder than I ever could, because I just want you happy, like when we were together. I have three more. The next one's called Stay Silent. You tell me to talk about what happened to me, but when I speak to you, you tell me, don't say anything. Be quiet. Stay silent. How are victims supposed to feel heard? A man hurt me and you expect me to stay silent? Took my innocence and I'm supposed to stay quiet. How does that make sense? I feel trapped in my own body and have flashbacks, but that's what I was made for, right? That's why I'm supposed to stay quiet. I refuse to stay silent. I will tell my story, say their names. You cannot silence me because you want to pretend it doesn't happen. 1 in 3 women have a story, and so do I. My next one's called I'm a Reader. I am a reader. I've lived 1,000 lives, 1,000 worlds. I've explored Hogwarts with Harry, stories with David Guider. I've traveled through mountains and forests. I've fallen in love with many people, hated many, and thrown many books. I am a reader. I find my peace between pages and ink. You can find comfort where no one else can. Take you with a good book, and that's why I'm a reader.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here tonight, especially considering that we're honoring our dear friend Teri. And I just want to say thank you to Teri because she just created this wonderful special group for all of us, and we get to come here and share our souls and share our experiences with each other. And she really just promotes creativity and art, and I just love this group here. So I'm so happy to be a part of this and to honor Teri tonight. So my first poem for tonight is called Crossing Lines, and it's just a bit of a short one, but boundaries is something I think we all have to learn as we grow into adulthood and into life, and this is just one where I see boundaries as a bit of a practice, and we learn and we grow and we shape our boundaries as we grow, and sometimes we learn that through experience. Crossing lines. I let you cross my lines, and once you had what you wanted, your fervor soon abated, leaving me with breadcrumbs of your affection. I am a sparrow pecking gravel on a concrete pathway that used to be a flourishing bed of hopeful tulips. I let you cross my lines, and you just left me holding an empty bottle of wine. The second one doesn't have a title. You said this loss would be the end of you, but you're both smiling, looking quite happy, so I guess you didn't love me as much as you led me to believe. Look at you, already in love again, before the dirt has even settled on our grave. Makes me glad I didn't stay for something that was so easily replaced. All your whispered promises gone with a gust from the sky. Makes me wonder if all those moonlit promises were just reflecting from my eyes. And you'll hate me for this, but you said you loved me for your whole life, so why are you still alive? Did I just fit a gaping hole that you were desperate to fill? 'Cause now it looks like any new thing will fit that bill. And this one is called My Head, My Heart, My Mind. Intertwined in memories of the past, ripping me from imagined illusions of being in the present. Have I ever really lived in the present? If I had, would you still be here? And yet, you haven't left my head, my heart, my mind. We still feel physically intertwined, emotionally entangled, energetically connected in my head, my heart, my mind. So I replay fantasies, some real, some unlived, until I can't feel the difference, ceaselessly wondering how you so carelessly fumbled things, leaving me behind, left behind, my head, my heart, my mind. And I do have to say that my poems this week were inspired, as some of you may be aware, Taylor Swift released the Tortured Poets Department, so I was very excited for this album. And she had a line that I really loved when she released it. And she said, sorry, my phone is not cooperating with me. Why? It said, "This writer is of the firm belief that our tears become holy, the form of ink on a page. Once we have spoken our saddest story, we can be free of it." And I really love that because I feel like poetry does help me process a lot of emotions that I'm going through, whether the poem is accurate or not. Doesn't really matter because it was accurate to me in the moment when I wrote it. And I just wrote a tiny little poem to myself trying to inspire myself to keep writing. And it just says, "You don't write anymore. Maybe that's part of the problem. All these emotions are bottling themselves up instead of spilling all over the page. Pick up your pen, little love, and write. Not for them, not for applause, but for you and your wild heart." Thank you.
This poem is called Extension. When we met, I didn't know who I was, didn't know what I wanted. That night, I only knew that I wanted you. So I pursued. When I came over for the first time, I had no expectations for what may happen, and everything happened. Drunken kisses filled with endless longing. That night, you only knew that you wanted me, and I only knew that I wanted you. When we met, you didn't know who you were. Working long nights, only fueled by White Russians and old-style Pilsner, malnourished, lonely, and unloved. You were convinced you did know, though. You always thought you had it all figured out. And then I came and pursued you. I fed you, kept you company, and I loved you more than anyone ever had. I gave you a reason. You once said our love was like ecstasy. Those sweat-filled days and nights, hour-long conversations. I couldn't get enough of your smile, and you always knew how to make me laugh. We always knew things had to end. We always knew we couldn't keep going like this forever, but time passed so fast when I was with you. And the day dawned on us, the perspective of half of the world dividing us. So I made a choice. I chose you. I didn't know who I was before I met you, and when I met you, I really thought I knew that all I ever wanted to be was an extension of you. 3 months we were apart, 3 months tearing apart my heart, not working, only fueled by White Russians and old-style Pilsners, living for the 1 hour each day that I got to hear your voice. You never struggled as much as I did. Having my love was enough for you. It gave you all the purpose you needed. You wouldn't even pay $500 for a plane ticket. So I paid. I truly thought all I ever wanted to be was an extension of you. I chose a life by your side, and you also made a choice. You chose a life 2-hour car drive away from me, no license, no car. I was crying and drinking through the weeks, longing for the weekends I got to see you, praying they wouldn't take the car away. You always thought it was no big deal, always tried to calm me down, told me that I was choosing misery, that there are so many good things to see, and I nodded and wiped away the tears. And then something inside of me died. Our future flushed down the toilet, and it broke your heart. I think that was the first time I ever saw tears in your eyes. And it broke my heart more than flushing down that clump of cells ever could have. But I didn't ever tell you that. I don't know if that changed the life you wanted. I don't know what changed. I know you finally chose me. We found our own place, all my love and longing, all my tears were leading up to this moment. I saw us sitting on a lawn with our kids running around, and I knew no love was ever greater than ours. And then I realized, love couldn't save us. Love couldn't cure you. You were destroying yourself, and all I had been for the past 2 years was an extension of you. I was destroyed. And you weren't able to fix me this time, weren't able to talk me out of my misery this time, 'cause suddenly I knew my misery was you. So I went and I spelled all my sorrows to you. You said you would change, but we both knew that wasn't true. We laid in each other's arms, spilling tears filled with memories and endless love. I became an extension of you. You are the reason I'm here, the reason I am who I am. You shaped me like a clump of clay. A part of me will always be with you. I will never not have a part of you with me, 'cause truly I am you. And sometimes I think, what if our future wasn't flushed down the toilet that one night? What would have been?
This poem is adapted from a fiction piece that I did. So this is called Flowering. A certain nostalgia blooms when a dirt town kid moves to the big city for the first time and experiences the life and the ghostly return. A dichotomy of emotion, the fertile mind divides into halves, the before and after and the then, weighted disproportionately. When the smallness of existence grew to something grander, full of unsettling contradictions. When awareness came of how the town was at once tiny and yet so dense with its overlapping lives and leaves of people. And the bright city is likewise vast and populated by unknown minds, but also so barren. Emptiness you yearn to fill. It simply hasn't occurred to you yet. The emptiness is all inside, and it always has been. That disjunct triggers a wilting brain. Dreaming each lost night of a field of twinkling ice crystals, reflecting under the moon, and realize it's the city lights. Dreaming of the flowers on an endless, roiling ocean, and it's the damn city lights, those lights that infest everything. You floated through those lights, tumbled streets with friends lonely, at home together, unsure if they felt the same way, because surely everyone else was just as wind-lost as you, but surely they were rooted and secure in their identities and hearts. You recall most the little things, like chill dew in the crisp New Year's morning when you were coming off the high, or like when you stood quietly outside a corner shop with your finger tracing the graffiti letters on the curve of a bent oak tree, and pebbles rolling uphill, and headstones fading wordless, and cobbles flooded in rain, and gravel beneath your tires, and picking rocks from the furrows. Yes, returning to the country is a coming down, leaving the pulse and thrum of heart and music behind for dirty reality and an empty garden. You come back in the cold daylight, and the blood and magic is soiled. This poem is titled See Me Gone, and it's partly inspired by Bob Dylan and Tom Petty. I want to walk barefoot in sun-drenched lands. I want to swim through waves and whims of warm. I want to belong where the wild grapes grow. Rather than tread along under gray clouds, rather than bemoan loss of spirit's fire, rather than dwell in the cold and lonely, then take that step onward to bluest skies, then wake the fire and breeze that fills broad sails, then slake the thirst for love and fruiting vines. Say you will see me off on crystal morn. Say you will miss my warmth and gentle smile. Say you will always think upon the shared goblets and river wanderings and blissful longing touch that ever I have forgotten in my ignorant dreams and need for elsewhere.
I think I'm going to start with the one I know a little bit better here. So I'll start with a murder ballad. One for Henry here. Henry, nice work, by the way. So so this one is on the CD that I have over there called Alone in This World. This poem is called Alberta Murder. Well, they say he killed a man. They say he took his life. They say he killed a man. They say he did it twice. How could this happen in a town that seems so nice? They took away his gun and all he needed was a knife. Well, last night in small town Alberta, that's where we lay our scene. The site of a cold, dark, grisly sort of murder, the worst they'd ever seen. A crime of passion, a crime of opportunity, the kind of crime that divides a community. Last night on the old canal road, a sight I hope you never see. Flags half-mast in town today, an air of tension you could feel. Fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, they can't believe it's real. In this town of faith, this town of fidelity, a town of unfailing hospitality, things like this don't happen here. We're a good town, don't you see? Innocent until proven guilty, that's what the law decrees. But in a town so small, there's no room to doubt what they did or didn't see. Was it drugs or neglect or insufficient discipline? Not enough Prozac, Cipralex, or Ritalin. Last night on the old canal road, a sight I hope you never see. Well, they say he killed a man. They say he took his life. They say he killed a man. They say he did it twice. How could this happen in a town that seemed so nice? They took away his gun. All he needed was a knife. I just realized I probably got to go back and work on the words of the other one because I'm like, they're just not coming to me. So I'm just going to finish one more very short one. This only has 2 verses, and so the first verse acts like a chorus. So say the first verse once, then the second verse, and come back to the first verse again. This song is about my first time taking acid many years ago. Yeah, it was a good experience. My wife was very sweet. She took the kids away, and I just sat there, and I had my coffee, and I had, some acid, and then I sat there with the dogs, and I took them for a walk, and wrote a couple songs, had a couple ideas and stuff. But I didn't write this then, but this was looking back to that experience and thinking of my lovely partner. So what am I but a pile of electric meat? What are you if not your hands, your lips, your feet? What are we but 2 drops in an endless sea? It's all we need to be. And what am I but a pile of old yesterdays? What are you if not the pretty games you play? What are we but 2 pieces of today? It's all we need to say. So what am I but a pile of electric meat? What are you if not your hands, your lips, your feet? What are we but 2 drops in an endless sea? It's all we need to be.
This first one is about my cats. It's called Scratch. My 2 tabbies are always fighting. Paws fly, a heated scrap over space on the comforter. Still, when one gets up from sleeping, the other follows. Retracted claws pitter-pattering to the kitchen. They eat together, side by side. Whiskers squished into the tiny bowl. When one finishes, the other waits, tail curled in a happy question. I can't explain what you mean to me. Sometimes it comes out in scratches. Thank you. The second one, I just recently went through a breakup, so this is a poem about trying to figure out who I am, I guess. It's called Single White Female. Single white female is diagnosed by Google obsessive, malevolent, and manipulative, but she would just say antisocial. Single white female is not seeking a roommate. Single white female has men tell her she should try stand-up. Okay, here she goes. What's the deal with multiple female orgasms? It's okay if you don't get that one. Single white female is checking IDs and Yelp reviews for different women's prisons. Single white female is doing the work and educating herself. Single white female is meditating between constant dopamine hits and day drinking. Single white female is looking for eligible bachelors on incel subreddits. She's always loved a challenge. Single white female is a lesbian? That's a question for a later date. Single white female has a laundry list that she didn't make, ex-boyfriends without therapists and ex-girlfriends who just want to be friends. Single white female is opening her third eye in the grocery store and getting bored in ancient Buddhist temples. Single white female is a gold medalist in Instagram stalking and CBD-infused text. Single white female says, I can't imagine a world without you, followed by, oops, wrong number. Single white females think she could win Jeopardy, but can't spell congratulations without autocorrect. Single white female will ask for your vape and pay for your parking ticket. Single white female is signing off emails with, I apologize for the inconvenience, thanks again. Single white female blushes and giggles when you talk. Single white female has an 18-step skincare routine and an appetite for red 40, trans fat, and aspartame. Single white female is looking for 5 things she can see, 4 things she can touch, 3 things she can hear, 2 things she can smell, and 1 thing she can taste. Single white female is wasted potential with a shiny blue ribbon on her chest. Single white female is tucking herself in and kissing her own forehead. Single white female will try to call you back. She's looking for something. Leave a message. Thank you.